What's going on, guys? Grab you a cup of coffee and let's have a little chat. If you've been anywhere online in recent months, last couple of years, whatever, you've no doubt seen plenty of people talking about and pontificating on the topic of drones and concerns therefore related to. Wanted to give you my wooden nickel's worth of thoughts on the subject, because I have a concern, or a few concerns actually, given what all's being put out, what all's out there. And I would encourage you to keep things in context, because it's easy to hear authoritative people who are, smart folks and know what they're talking about, put out information. And my one criticism of many of them, you know this is my broken record dead horse, and I will beat it until there's nothing but dust left, and then I'll scoop the dust up in a bucket and beat the bucket of dust. They don't give you context. And the context is so important, in my humble opinion. Drones in recent times have become a big thing, almost to the point of becoming this great big boogeyman. And there's no avoiding drones. We're all dead. They're all coming after us. There's no point in even hardly trying to do anything, because the ability to evade, survive, get away from drones or whatever is just so impossibly hard to do, and we're just all going to die. And again, while there's some good stuff out there, a lot of the folks that are putting the stuff out about drones, how to employ them, how to counter them, etc., do it all from a point of the military on military context, and not from the context of the armed prepared citizen. That context changes a lot of things, and I can see, and I have seen, people get really wrapped around the axle about the topic, and needlessly so, I believe, because of what they've heard some of these other people say. But whenever you start offering them some context and you start making them think about it, suddenly the light switch goes off and they go, well, wait a minute, what am I so wound up and worried about? And then I'm like, exactly. So since it's my channel and it's for me to say what I want on, well, here you go. I am not a drone expert in both the use and or counter thereof. I know a little bit about them. I've got some friends that have got them, and it's of very little concern to me, and I'll explain why. Hence why we're just having a little coffee chat here. So if you want to listen, go get you a cup, sit down and get comfortable. If you don't, that's fine. Ooh, that tag is itching. Go on and click off and enjoy the rest of your day. So as always, as an armed prepared citizen, the number one thing we need to establish at the get-go of a whole lot of what we're doing is the context. And in that context, the who, what, where, when, whys, all those things. So who is going to be, who's my primary threat concern? Now, obviously, you got to do you. for me and my friends, family, associates, etc., excuse me, the primary concern we've got is the 1 million+ people in the nearest city that when things go south in a craptastically spectacular fashion, and they no longer have power, running water, working sewage, there ain't no food in the pantry, and there ain't none at the grocery store, and it's not even safe to go to the grocery store if they even had any, because there ain't no law enforcement out there to do their thing, and the evil parts of society are out there doing evil things because they're not worried about getting in trouble. At some point, those people are going to want to start leaving that city and going somewhere that they perceive to be safer, and where there might be food, water, etc. Those hungry, starving, sick people can get real desperate. The evil elements of society, when there's no longer law and order, whenever they have picked clean their areas, they will branch out by necessity to reach further and further out to do their pillaging and plundering. As we know, both of these two sets of people, by and large, have no preparations, have not given thought to any preparations. They've got nothing put aside. So they're going to run out of stuff pretty quick. And when everybody's pillaging and plundering in an area, it's going to get picked clean pretty quick. So these are who my top concern and threat is these desperate people, these evil people who want to suddenly come and take what myself and my family and friends have worked very long and very hard at establishing, so that we don't have to worry about all the aforementioned issues. Now, when those people start to come try to take what we've got, because they're either just evil pieces of crap, or they're desperate, and desperate people do desperate things, we got to try to protect and keep what we've got. So in that context, where do drones come in? Now, sure, there may be some people in the aforementioned groups that have drones. They may even be pretty skilled at using them. But now we have to start asking questions like, well, since we know they're probably not preparedness minded, do they even have ways put away to keep their drones running, i.e. charged up? If they do, what are they going to actually be able to use them for? Well, most likely, it would be for surveillance and information gathering. I.e., they could fly over and take some video or pictures of you and see what you're up to. Well, that drone, they probably don't have a truckload of them with them. And if we're in that kind of situation, they're certainly not just jumping on the giant interwebs and ordering more of them if something happens to the one that they've got. So it's probably going to be an item that they're probably going to want to safeguard pretty tightly and not risk it becoming damaged. Additionally, do they even have the knowledge or capability to utilize the information that they say we're to gather? For example, if you've got a farm and you've got your friends and family there and you're just growing your food and taking care of your animals and trying to keep the monsters away, let's say you get a group that's got a drone and they're starving and hungry and sick, and they're flying it around and they fly it over your place, and oh look, there's animals, there's food growing, there's people. What are the chances, and again we're playing odds here, that they've even got anybody with them that would know how to properly utilize whatever information they gather. First, somebody's going to have to know what to even send the drone to look for, to try to record. And then whenever they do they know how to utilize it? Do they know how to process that information and use it to a tactically advantageous point from their side? A lot of people don't. The chances of you running into somebody with that are probably astronomically high. The other threat that, and this is where people start getting really wrapped around the axle, is, oh, they're just going to be flying drones into you and dropping grenades on you and blowing you up. Because that's what we see and have seen over in Ukraine with war between Russia and Ukraine. And that's where so many people come at this from, is from a military standpoint. With a military that has drones and is using them, has a supply chain of them to keep them coming, and they're weaponizing them. So I would ask you, in the continental United States, considering all the people that's got drones, where are people going to get the various munitions to weaponize a drone with in an effective manner? Because it's not just a super simple thing to do. There's a bit of skill and technology and knowledge involved in doing it, and you've got to have access to said things that go boom. Now, I'm sure there's probably elements of society who have got access to such things, but by and large, it's an infinitesimally small number. So small is for you to probably not even be concerned with, because even if they do have the capability of arming one, we go back to the original point of how many do you think these people have? Most people aren't sitting around with a semi-truck full of drones that they can afford just to fly into things and make them go boom. Why are you getting wrapped around the axle about somebody coming in and pulling a drone strike on you? Oh, well, it could be the government. Okay. If you've got the almighty imperial federal government wanting to waste the time, money, manpower, and munitions to come drone strike you on your farm, you've made a long chain of really bad choices and decisions. I'll go back to something I've said in other videos. If we're in the situation where it's all gone to pot and we've got to do the things that we talk about on here, I would be willing to put money on there being a 95% chance or better that there's not going to be a government for you to worry about coming after you, regardless of how big of a chain of bad decisions you've made. They're not going to be capable because they don't have the manpower, and that if they do, they're going to have way too many other things on their hands to worry about than coming after you trying to protect your garden and your livestock from hungry raiders coming to loot you. So why get wrapped around the axle about something that is almost statistically not even a thought capable of happening? Should you give a little thought to it? Yeah, because drones are a thing. There's going to be people that have got them. Again, what we've got to pay attention to is how much time and energy do we put on that. Is it worth having a little bit of knowledge on them? Absolutely. Get a little bit of knowledge on how they work, how they're used, and how to defeat them. But you can defeat them from a surveillance standpoint the same way you would pretty much any other aircraft, in just proper overhead cover and concealment and just being cognizant of things. you don't, in my opinion, have to devote a whole lot of time and energy to, oh my God, we got to defend everything from drones. That's got to be our we got to just put just hours and hours of thought and time and practice and money and everything else into defeating drones. Especially if you're out in rural America, just for those of you that are already out in rural America, think about the folks that you know around you and how many of them got drones, and if they do, what they'd even be using them for. My point with all this is, like with everything else that you see and hear people talking about online, if they're not giving you good detailed context, because in my opinion, anybody that's getting on here and presenting themselves as an authority based on their background, experience, whatever, and they're trying to give you advice, they should be giving very, very detailed context about the information that they're offering. The who, whys, whens, wherefores, and all that stuff. If they're just putting up a fancy video with cool videography and editing and all that to show you, you know, whatever it is, it could be anything other than drones. It could be just tactics. It could be whatever. And they're not giving you any context, then they are doing you a great disservice, in my opinion. Doesn't mean they have bad intentions. People can have the best of intentions and still do somebody a misservice by an act of omission on their part. Okay? But you also have to consider there's a lot of people with serious backgrounds that are also out there just to put out entertainment. I'll just use YouTube as a micro example, but it goes across all of the internet and social media. There are entities out there that are going to put stuff out and try to draw you in as a viewer because they want to grow their YouTube channel and they want to make money off of it. And the way to do that is to entertain people and keep people coming back for that entertainment value. I have nothing wrong with that. That's what you want to do and you can make money at it. I'm a full-blown capitalist, brother. I hope you get filthy stinking rich. But be honest about it. Let folks know, hey, this is for entertainment purposes only, etc. Because if it's for anything other than entertainment, you need to be giving context. And I say that from somebody who watches stuff myself. If you're not giving me context, you could be offering the greatest advice in the world, but if you're not giving me context with it, man, it's going to real quick probably just get switched off. Because I'm not going to try to sit here and guess what the context is you're trying to offer it to me in. I need to know it up front. Maybe it's a context that's not applicable to me. Doesn't mean I won't still listen and watch, because I might still want to know it given the context that you're giving. But I got to have the context personally. I know everybody else is different. That's fine. As always, you do you. All I'm saying is, to bring it back around, don't let yourself get wrapped up around things such as drones and waste a whole lot of your time and energy on it. Because personally, I don't see it as being a big threat, especially in the continental United States, as an armed prepared citizen in a grid down without rule of law type situation. Given that context, I don't see it being an issue. Now, just so those of you that rode the short bus, well, hopefully, well, not hopefully, because you're gonna get spun up anyway. I'll go ahead and cover this. If the context is different, and we've got PLA airborne troops dropping out of the sky, and there's beach landings all across the West Coast, and we're dealing with the PLA and the PLAN. That's a whole different context. That's a whole different context. Okay? Not what I'm talking about. That's a whole separate video and discussion. Because of what I just said, it's a whole different context. Hopefully some of you are starting to get why that's so important. Because it changes the dynamics of everything greatly. What else did I want to cover? Coffee cup's getting shallow. And y'all know me. When the coffee cup gets shallow, time to go refill it. What else? That's pretty much it, guys. Just to repeat for the umpteenth time, don't let yourself get wrapped around drones, given the context that we're talking about here, or anything else for that matter, unless you know the context and the context is applicable to you. Be realistic in establishing your own context in your own mind, in your own planning. Be realistic about what the conditions may be and who your primary threat is, who you're likely going to have to worry about as wanting to come harm you and yours and take what you've got, because that's what this is all about. Think deep and hard and be honest about it. That might mean you have to toss out some previously held thoughts. I don't want to say fantasies, because none of this is a fantasy. If you look at preparedness and everything as fantasy in any way, shape, or form, you've got a whole nother series of issues personally that we ain't even going to get into right now. But just be honest about it. You'll give yourself the ability to form a better plan and better focus your preparedness efforts in what you're doing and what you need to spend hard-earned money on, and more importantly, your valuable beyond measure time and personal energy on. Make sure you're devoting that to things that are going to be the most beneficial for you, because the time and energy are both things that once you spend them, you will never ever get it back. It is gone permanently forever. Time for more coffee. You guys take care. Keep preparing. Keep getting ready and doing the things. Talk to you later.